Hey guys, welcome back. It's Missy, and today we're going to be talking about adult separation anxiety. When we hear about separation anxiety, we often think about it in terms of our pets or with children, and that's what when you look up separation anxiety, usually it is talking about separation anxiety between pets and children. But what happens to children that never resolve their separation anxiety? They become adults with separation anxiety, and this is a thing that's not talked about enough. Separation anxiety comes from when you were a child and your parents got divorced, or you dealt with a loss at a young age, or you had an addict parent and you were worried that something would happen to them, or you have an insecure attachment. Usually it revolves around something traumatic happening and the child being terrified of being separated from an attachment figure. So it's common for children of separation anxiety, and we think, oh, they just grow out of it, or oh, it just gets better with time. But a lot of adults that struggle with separation anxiety don't realize that it's their childhood separation anxiety that has come with them. And so they're experiencing these symptoms and these struggles, and they feel embarrassed by it. Or they don't understand what's happening. They feel they're too old to be experiencing what they're experiencing. Which that goes into the first sign that you know that you're struggling with separation anxiety is you will feel shameful for your feelings. You will feel embarrassed and ashamed that you are very attached to a person and you're afraid of not being around them, or you're afraid of them leaving, or you have all of these fears and you don't feel safe when this certain person is around. And so you will try to hide it, or you'll try to suppress it, and you will suffer in silence. Or you will be overly needy and may appear controlling, but in reality it's just your anxiety coming out. Another sign is you'll have anxiety from leaving an attachment figure. So when you have separation anxiety, you usually have a loved one, an attachment figure that you are very afraid of losing and you're very attached to. And this could be a partner, it could be a parent, it could even be your child, or even a pet. Now here's the thing, it's normal to miss your parent, your partner, your child, your pet, and it's normal to want to be around them. But with separation anxiety, there's a generalized anxiety when you're not with your attachment figure. It is hard to do things when they leave, and you may have anxiety and not feel good until they come back. You get stressed when they are leaving, and you may find excuses or may find reasons that you guys should stay together and be together. The next sign is you feel the world is a dangerous place. You have a constant fear that something bad will happen to your loved ones. When you are not around your attachment figure, you have a fear of something bad happening to them getting in a car accident, you not being able to get in touch with them. You have a fear of never seeing them again. So you may have this constant imagery of them getting struck by lightning. I experienced that one when I was a little kid. I used to think about my dad getting struck by lightning. Or you have this anxiety that you're gonna hear that they got in an accident. You may constantly try to track where they are, reaching out to them to see where they are, or even going on like Find My iPhone to see where they are, so that way you can feel safe in knowing that they're safe. The next is you fear something happening to you. There is this fear that you will be taken away from your loved one. So you may feel very unsafe in your own body, and you'll feel very unsafe in the world. And you may physically make yourself sick from all the anxiety and stress, and that creates a negative feedback loop where you think something's wrong with you, and it can create health anxiety. And you may only feel better when you are around your safe person, your attachment figure. So you think in your mind, you've created this subconscious belief that in order to feel good or safe or okay, you have to be around your attachment figure. And if you're not with your attachment figure, then you are unsafe, or you will get sick, or something bad will happen. The next sign is you fear being away from home without your attachment figure. So you feel like you need to go in public with your attachment figure. You need to be with them at all times. You will have this imagery and these fears and this anxiety that something will happen when you guys aren't together, when you are in public. You feel more unsafe when you're in public. You fear that you maybe will get kidnapped. You fear maybe there'll be an earthquake. You fear that maybe you'll get hit by a car, or something will happen to them. The outside world, outside of home, feels a lot more dangerous when you're not with them. The next sign is that you fear being home alone. When you're home alone, you may be terrified to be alone with your thoughts, and it's because you will think worst case scenario. you will fear and think about things like getting murdered, or you will be left alone with your anxiety, and that's scary enough. You may sit there at home in silence, filled with anxiety, and you won't like being home without someone there. You have a really hard time being with just yourself because your mind is always flooded with anxiety. You have a hard time being able to just be with yourself and do things at home. So again, you will try to find ways to be with your attachment figure, try to find ways to get them to stay home with you, or try to find someone that could be home with you, or try to stay away from being home. And this is very prevalent when you have a partner or your attachment figure goes on business trips. You may be terrified when they go on business trips because they're going to be far away and they're not going to be home with you. And again, it goes to the anxiety of something happening to them when they're not home, or something happening to you. The next sign is that you have a hard time maintaining other relationships or keeping up with your job because you always have stress and anxiety about being with your attachment figure. It can be hard to put effort and energy into your other relationships, like your friendships. You're always worrying about your being with your attachment figure or something happening to them. It's hard for you to be in the moment and for you to be able to have relationships with other people because you're sitting there in your anxiety. Same thing with work. It's hard to focus on work when you have all of these worries about the worst case scenario of something happening. You may get urges to want to call out or try to stay close to them as much as possible. All this extra stress and anxiety can make it hard to stay motivated and focus on work and concentrate. And so it can be hard to see the point in maintaining your goals. The next one is you don't feel safe or comfortable without sleeping with your attachment figure, or without sleeping close by to your attachment figure. You will feel uncomfortable going to sleepovers, maybe going on trips without them. Any place that you can't sleep with your attachment figure, it may make you really uncomfortable and give you a lot of anxiety. You feel that you need to sleep by your attachment figure to prevent anything negative from happening, or to prevent you from having anxiety. Because when you don't sleep by your attachment figure, you have all of this anxiety. You have all these fears of something happening to them or you. You can't sleep. You lay awake at night with your head filled with these fears of kidnappers, getting murdered, having nightmares. You fear something happening to them or you in your sleep. Something I always did, and I still do to this day, is that when a loved one of mine is sleeping, I will go make sure they're still breathing, because I have this irrational fear that my loved ones are gonna stop breathing in their sleep, or they're gonna die in their sleep and I didn't catch it. So overall, you will have a really hard time sleeping if you're not close to your attachment figure. And you definitely will prevent yourself from sleeping anywhere that's not near your attachment figure. Or you'll make excuses as to why you don't want to do certain things, because in your mind, you feel unsafe when you're not with your attachment figure. The next one is you have nightmares, you have actual nightmares about getting detached from your attachment figure. So you may have these nightmares about something happening to them, something happening to you never being able to see your attachment figure again. And it can be hard to get a good night's sleep because you have these nightmares about all this crazy stuff happening and you never getting to see your attachment figure again. Again, even sleeping can feel very unsafe. And the last one is you will feel sick at the thought of being separated from your attachment figure. Thought alone, because our brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality, thought alone, when you think about not being able to be with your attachment figure or being separated from them, you will become physically sick. Your stomach may hurt, you may get a lot of headaches, you may feel your heart race a lot, you may go into panic attacks, you will spiral at the thought of losing them and not being around them, because there's this feeling of being unsafe in the world. You feel very unsafe without your attachment figure. You've put them on this pedestal that the only way you feel safe in the world or everything's going to be okay when you are with this person. So what do? How do you deal with separation anxiety? Well, one, it's really important that you feel safe in your own body. So what do? It's really important for you to expose yourself to things you're most afraid of, because when you have separation anxiety, generally you try to avoid being separated because in your mind it feels very dangerous. So you want to expose yourself to being by yourself. You want to expose yourself to the things that you're afraid of, like going out of town without them, sleeping without them. And what's really important when you expose yourself, because if you don't expose yourself properly, you can re-traumatize yourself. What's really important is that you make it a calm experience for yourself. So it's really important that you feel safe in your own body. And how you can do that is with self-talk, how you talk to yourself, that self-parenting, that soothing language. Like, hey, it's safe, I'm okay to be here, it's okay to be without my partner, parent, child, whatever it is. And really focusing more what's in your control rather than what's out of your control. When you spiral and you're having all of these anxieties about what if and what could happen, you're thinking about things that are out of your control. You can't control if something happens. You're trying to find control where you can't have control. That's why you'll go and see where they are. You'll constantly call them. You'll constantly try to be with them at all times. That's unhealthy and unrealistic for you to do, because that's just not life. You can't always be with that person to protect them or protect yourself. So you want to expose yourself as much as possible. And when you are exposing yourself, it's really important you make it an enjoyable experience while you're doing it, and you calm your fight or flight. Because when you calm your fear response from acting up when you are in these situations, it will retrain your brain and show you that it's safe to do what you're doing, and it's not dangerous or scary to do what you're doing. And also, when you focus on what's in your control rather than what's out of your control, you're feeling more empowered rather than thinking about the what ifs, because you can't control if something happens. Unfortunately, that's life. You're trying to get you're trying to get certainty where there is no certainty. So you have to accept that things will happen, mistakes will happen, accidents will happen, and it's okay. You're going to be okay no matter what happens. You are okay being with yourself. Your inner child is acting out when you are experiencing this separation anxiety, and so it's really important you comfort that inner child and you feel safe when you are doing things, and remembering you're an adult and you can take care of yourself. You don't need a parent or a partner or someone else to make you feel safe. You are capable of making yourself feel safe. So that's all in all what separation anxiety is. It's the lack of feeling safe with yourself and the lack of feeling safe without a certain person, and you trying to control things that are out of your control, focusing on the dangers of the world rather than what is happening, what's in reality, what's likely, rather than what's possible. Because when you're thinking about all these negative things, you're thinking about the possibility, because things are always possible, but you're not thinking about the likelihood. So you always want to challenge those stories of being like, okay, yeah, this is possible, but what's likely, what is likely to happen. Also, something else that could happen is when you're starting to expose yourself to being without your partner or your attachment figure, you can talk to them, talk about your fears and everything with them, and you can slowly wean yourself into you being without them. So maybe it will be that you can call 1 or 2 times rather than like 100 times when they're out. You know, slowly exposing yourself so it doesn't feel like it's just going from 0 to 100, like you are always able to be in touch with them, to never being in touch with them. Just slowly exposing yourself to your fears and having people on board to help you get through it, because it's not something you can just do on your own. You need to do your own work, but you also will need the help of others to help you work through it as well and give you that comfort. It can be hard when you just try to work on it on your own, because a lot of people that suffer, they already suffer in silence and they're already struggling as it is. So it can be helpful to have emotional support around you, and knowing that you can get your needs met from different people, and it's not just you only can feel safe with this certain person. You can feel safe in other ways, and finding those ways that make you feel secure and safe are really important. So if you're someone that struggles with separation anxiety, adult separation anxiety, no, you're not alone. It's something that is common. It's just something that is very taboo, or people don't talk about it a lot, and there's not a lot of information about it. But it's something that you definitely can manage and heal with time and with work. So what do you guys think? Leave it all in the comments below, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with someone that you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye guys. Another a spider? What's a hair? What the hell?